Your Bitcoin can be made worthless in minutes. Minutes! Without anyone touching your wallet. Michael Saylor says Bitcoin is unseizable. He's right about the protocol, and he's blind to the actual threat. Bitcoin Moses warns about the wrong threat. I'm showing you the right one, the one they use. They don't need to seize your Bitcoin. They just need to quarantine it. You don't need to be a bad actor. You just need to be adjacent to one. And you probably are. I'm going to show you exactly how that works and what you can do about it. This isn't about self-custody. It's about wealth preservation. Michael Saylor is right that the math protects your keys. No government can reach into a self-custody wallet and take the coins. The protocol protects possession. That's the self-custody argument. If you control your private keys and only you control it, no one can move your crypto. That applies to Bitcoin, it applies to Ethereum, it applies to any cryptocurrency built on a distributed ledger. The math and the honesty of miners and validators worldwide combine to ensure your safety. That's the very basis of cryptocurrency. Take away one of those things, and the security of your crypto is no longer secure. So, a seizure cannot happen, but quarantine can. And the two have the same outcome. Your coins are no longer in your control. I'm going to show you exactly how that quarantine works using the clearest real-world case we have. I'm going to tell you about the bad actors who caused it and tell you the ham-handed way Treasury responded. I'm going to show you how you can be completely innocent and get your tokens locked up with virtually no recourse to get them back. And then I'm going to show you why this threat is even more relevant in 2026 than it was in 2022 and what you can actually do about it. I'm Dana Love. I'm a #1 best-selling author. I have a PhD in economics from the University of Glasgow. I have a Harvard MBA. I've been in crypto since 2011 as both an investor and a builder. 33 years building systems across blockchain, AI, and telecom, multiple patents, and I personally lost money to a crypto fraud. That experience and the years of research that followed became the token trap, a forensic analysis of events like these documented across 617 sources and 23 victim interviews. I know what this looks like. I've seen it before. This is insider threat modeling that most Bitcoin maximalists won't tell you. Stick with me, because seeing this clearly will change how you think about self-custody forever. Let's get into it. Our forensic review takes us back to 2022. It takes us, of all places, to a privacy tool, a decentralized mixer called Tornado Cash. Mixers are simple. You deposit crypto, the crypto pools with others. This pooling creates a layer of anonymity. No logs, no KYC, decentralized. Your crypto outputs to a new address. Maybe you didn't want to broadcast your wallet balance on the public blockchain. Maybe your business wanted operational privacy. Maybe you wanted protection against doxing. Maybe you were a crypto purist and just wanted to be anonymous. A decentralized mixer like Tornado Cash was like a VPN service for your crypto. Tornado Cash was privacy infrastructure until one customer showed up. That customer? The Lazarus Group. Lazarus is North Korea's state-sponsored cybercrime syndicate. They are sophisticated obfuscators layering wallets, cross-chain bridges, timing delays, all to hide the stolen funds that fuel the regime's missile program and weapons development. They have pulled off massive heists, over $620 million from the Ronin Bridge in March 2022 alone, the largest crypto theft ever at that time. Treasury says Lazarus laundered more than $455 million through Tornado Cash. Hundreds of millions more from other hacks flowed in too. Lazarus are bad actors. Full stop. Their actions threaten real people and national security. To get Lazarus Group, Treasury sanctioned the entire Tornado Cash protocol. On August 8, 2022, OFAC blacklisted 45 specific smart contract addresses. Everyone using Tornado Cash found themselves locked out of their crypto. They call it sanctioned. It's a blacklist. And it's exactly as ominous as it sounds. Now, here's a little bit of technical insider knowledge. Smart contracts are held inside blocks on the blockchain. Each has a specific, unique address. Your self-custody wallet also has a specific, unique address, just like a smart contract. So when I say that Treasury sanctioned 45 specific smart contract addresses, they could just as easily have been the addresses to your wallet, or to your DeFi exchange, or to Strategy's wallet. Within 24 hours of showing up on that sanctions list, every exchange, every on-ramp, every piece of compliant financial infrastructure built on top of the US dollar globally treated those addresses as radioactive. The crypto in those wallets didn't move, and the protocol worked perfectly. And every user of Tornado Cash had their assets quarantined. No one would touch them. Why? The moment you touch a designated address, your address becomes suspect as well. You can't launder your way out of an OFAC designation using the same blockchain you were designated on. Every transaction is public record. Makes you long for a privacy service, doesn't it? And all those reputable users, guilt by association, frozen by association. When the eye of Sauron is looking at you, you have no friends. And let's be candid, when Treasury is focused on you, that's exactly what it feels like. Worse, it feels exactly the same when Treasury isn't focused on you at all, but sweeps you up in their net just the same. Now let's move from 2022 to last year. In 2025, Treasury designated, which is a very bureaucratic word for being quarantined and blacklisted, Garantex and Grinex. Bad actors accused of ransomware and evasion used the exchanges. Everyone who used them, good or bad, innocent or guilty, saint or sinner, had their tokens locked up. So far this year, Treasury sanctioned 2 exchanges for facilitating IRGC operations. Zedcex and Zedxion both got quarantined in January 2026. Any address on any blockchain is subject to OFAC sanctions. Now, you may think that this is just an American problem since the government agency is OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets Control, which is part of the US Department of the Treasury. That has crossed your mind, hasn't it? What economists call dollar hegemony is what most people call pure global power. Nearly every transaction in the world is settled in US dollars, from your morning coffee to the supertanker filled with oil bound for Brazil. And since everyone deals in dollars, no one wants to attract the ire of Treasury. No one wants the eye of Sauron looking at them. Dollar hegemony in the age of Bitcoin extends the power of the United States onto every blockchain on the planet. The very thing that Bitcoin was built to replace exerts control over it for the very reason it was created. And rather like Tolkien's fictional Sauron, the very real Treasury Department operates on fear. When they sanctioned Tornado Cash, it took only 24 hours for everyone to pretend Tornado Cash ceased to exist. It lost access to interfaces. It lost access to stablecoins. It lost access to everything. The US dollar's global reserve status gives Treasury unmatched leverage. When they designate an address or entity, the entire compliant financial system snaps to attention. Exchanges freeze, banks freeze, wallets freeze. Why? Because non-compliance risks their own designation. Fear enforces it faster than any law. In the age of Bitcoin, this creates a new reality. You hold BTC in self-custody, keys safe, protocol unbreakable, but to use it, sell, spend, move, convert, everything runs through rails increasingly controlled by dollar-compliant entities. Last year's Genius Act funneled stablecoin issuance to licensed banks or bank affiliates. Other countries have taken the same tack. If a government can license stablecoin issuance, they don't need a central bank digital currency. Just outsource all the risk and they gain all the control. It's not very true to the spirit of Bitcoin, is it? Big holders like Strategy? Strategy holds over 860,000 BTC as of mid-March 2026. Public, transparent, ethical, playing the Treasury asset game, they are super successful. But if a counterparty, an old transaction, or even a tainted inflow touches their stack, the contagion risk is real. One bad actor in the ecosystem could trigger scrutiny. Worse, for everyday users, interact with a reputable platform that unknowingly hosted one sophisticated bad actor, like Lazarus in Tornado Cash. Treasury casts the net wide. Your address gets tainted by association, frozen, quarantined. You don't need to be a criminal. You just need adjacency. We've seen the mechanism. One bad actor hides, Treasury swings the broadsword, innocents get caught. Dollar hegemony makes that sword global. So what can you actually do? First, self-custody is still non-negotiable. Hold your keys, use hardware wallets, multi-sig if possible. The protocol protects possession. Don't give up on that. Go further. Use multiple wallets. Layering provides protection. Not absolute protection, but it's helpful. Never keep much in the wallet that you use for interacting with others. Your other wallets aren't hidden. Nothing is hidden on the blockchain, but different keys mean different exposure. Pair this with better threat modeling. Ask, what rails do I use to exit? Are they dollar compliant? Have they hosted questionable flows before? Diversify your on and off ramps where feasible. Use non-US exchanges, peer-to-peer options, or privacy-focused tools while staying legal. Don't put all your exit eggs in one basket. Watch policy closely. The Clarity Act is moving through Congress right now, and the Senate version wants to close yield loopholes and tighten exchange compliance. If it passes, rails get even tighter. Find sources that break down the full text without spin, or read the bills yourself. Headlines lie, text doesn't. For big holders or businesses, audit transaction history. Use chain analysis tools to check for taint. If your strategy scale, lobby for clearer rules on corporate BTC treasuries. Most importantly, understand adjacency risk. Every interaction, swap, bridge, mixer, even a reputable exchange, creates a trail. Minimize unnecessary touches. This isn't paranoia, it's realism. Bitcoin is unseizable. But in a dollar hegemonic world, your freedom to use it is not guaranteed. Seeing this clearly is the first step to preserving your wealth. Not just holding keys, holding usable value. Bitcoin Moses, Michael Saylor, sees the fortress, Bitcoin's unbreakable math. I see the moat, dollar hegemony in the age of Bitcoin. All of crypto is vulnerable to it. Vulnerability is what I write about. My recent #1 bestseller, The Token Trap, looks at vulnerability in the creation of crypto tokens and the capture of that market by sophisticated, deep-pocketed groups. There's a link below. If this kind of unfiltered analysis helps you think smarter about wealth preservation, subscribe, hit the bell, drop a comment, especially if you think I'm wrong. Bring data. I try to read them all. I try to answer a lot. Thanks for sticking through. This was a heavy one. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.